Hey traders, it's John Howell here. I want to share with you why I believe that the environment we've been in for the last couple of decades, which is a low interest rate environment. In fact, you can see here that the interest rates we've been in, this is the 10-year, has just been getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And why I believe that we are about to flip this thing on its head and moving forward, we're about to get a lot more expensive in the interest rates, which is going to cause a whole bunch of havoc in the marketplace. Let's get straight into it. Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty, traders. So let's get straight into this thing here. The thing that I'm noticing right now is we're going through a massive cycle shift in the markets. And that massive cycle shift we're looking at right now is the interest rate has been going down. And if you look at this from a big picture, right? Look at this from an absolute big picture for me. We can see that this weekly chart of the 10-year, and even if we go have a look at the 30-year, we can see here on the 30-year as well too, that the 30-year has just been getting cheaper and 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 cheaper, right? And cheaper and cheaper. So if we go back to the 10-year, this is the 10-year, we can see that rates have just been getting, overall, that we've been on a big downward trend ever since the 1980s, basically. Or the early 1980s, which, by the way, when here in Australia anyway, I remember growing up in the 80s and my father actually lost his house. And he lost it because the interest rates went to, again, yeah, we got 15 to 16. I think they went to 18% maybe here in Australia. So the same thing that quite happened there, right? And then we actually went through a big move. So over the last couple of decades, we've had the whole thing savers are losers, right? Savers are losers. Now, I remember learning from my mentors, and they always used to say, if you could have $3 million and put in the bank and earn 10%, you're set for life, right? That was back in those days, right? Now it's like savers, losers, savers, losers. There is a good thing about what's happening right now. You know, they say this whole thing about the future and so on and so forth. That I believe that just like the cycles go, we've been in this now for a couple of decades, which is, again, this is a weekly chart. And now look what's happening. We've got the massive capitulation to the downside. And now we're starting to get back above this major support level on the interest rates. And now we're starting to move back up. So to me, I do see that moving forward into the rest of, the next couple of decades, so to speak. Do I have that there? No dates there. That's 2030 there, right? So we're probably going to be starting to, this overall pattern anyway, is going to continue to rise. So we have a resistance here around the 2.5. That's that resistance coming down. So it looks like we're trying to, anyway, now I'm going to zoom in. It looks like that we're trying to race to around about that 2, maybe 2.5 level, 2 to 2.5 level, which is going to put, it's going to put a lot of pressure on the asset prices, but it's not going to cause a crash straight away. So that's what we're seeing through there. And once again, I do see that this rising of interest rates will eventually, not straight away, but will eventually cause a lot of asset prices to go down. And that's the same with the property market. Property market has gone absolute nuts because of these interest rates. But when they have to, when the interest rates continue to rise, it's going to put a lot of pressure on the stock market and a lot of pressure on the property market. Now, that's not right now, traders. This is a big picture view, right? This is like, this is like what's likely to happen over the next 3, 4, 5 years, right? Not this. We're not saying, oh my goodness, interest rates are going to rise, the market's going to crash, I'm short in the markets. No, not yet anyway, right? We're not there yet. What's likely to happen is the stock market's likely to go through one last final hooray. And then as that's happening, the interest rates, even the Fed on the short term, on the short interest rates are going to continue to rise. We're going to see this thing continue to rise as well too. As the market's rising up, then the tightening of the Fed and so on and so forth is going to prick the bubble. And then we're going to see, yes, one of the biggest crashes in history. So this is where you have to be really careful, even in the property market. So like, I was talking to my ex-wife recently, and she bought a unit for like $400,000. And she's like, I bought this for like $400,000, this unit, and now it's worth like $60,000 more. And now my ex-wife, she's been approved for like a $600,000 or $700,000 property like loan. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is just going too crazy, going up to too crazy. And I believe this is not going to end well with the property market, because right now the property market has gone absolutely nuts because of cheap money and low interest rates. When cheap money starts to get withdrawn and banks start to tightening up and the interest rates start to rise, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to go through a lot of water hurt. Again, I don't believe they're right now, but 2023 to 2024 period, those years are going to be very, very, I believe for the next 12 months or more, we're going to see some really nice moves to the upside. Again, not every day, but overall, we're likely to see some really, really, really significant moves on the upside. But then we're going to see one of the biggest mother of all crashes. And I believe even the property market is going to pull back quite hard as well too. The reason why is because the property market has had a hockey stick to the upside. So I really like here in Australia, right? Like here in Australia, we've had, especially over in New Zealand property prices have gone nuts. I think they were like last year they went up like 25% or something. And then maybe we go through another 10% rise. It's just like property prices to do that are just absolutely just crazy. So to me, when markets are going crazy like that, traders, and this is a big thing for any investor out there that's even investing in property, if you see property prices going nuts and you're starting to get that fear of missing out, guess what? That's where you should be running away from it, because I see so many times that trying to buy at those times, just like with the cryptos last year, when the crypto mania was going nuts, was always the wrong time to buy. So looking at this here once again, traders, that I believe we've just made a final low for many decades to come. And I do believe over the next 20, 30 years, just like we've gotten here since the 1980s, I believe we're going to start to see this, because it's just simple cycle analysis, right? What was, I like to say this, what was, which was high interest rates, is not what is, which is low interest rate, but what was is what's going to be again, right? It's really, that's just 101 cycle analysis, right? Things go up and things go down, and then things go back up and then things go back down, right? It's just cycle analysis 101 when you just really look at it from a common sense point of view. What was is not what is, but what was will be again, right? So I look at things like here in Australia, right? On the other side of Australia, called Perth, Western Australia, they went through a 10-year massive property. They went through a massive crash, 60% crash. They went through a massive low period for about 10 years. Guess what's happening to their property market these days, these last couple of years? Going absolutely nuts. Perth is actually one of the best performers here in Australia. Like when you're talking about states, right? You've got like the Sydney region and Queensland and Melbourne and stuff like that. And then on the other side of Australia, which is WA, Western Australia, which is Perth, because we actually had a big boom, then we had a big crash in the property market, and then it did this for about 7, 8, or 10 years, and then now we're starting to do this again, right? So what was, which was a big property boom, is not what's going to be, or what is, but what was is going to be again, right? And this is the reason why most people have a hard time in being good investors, because a lot of people see when the market goes through a massive crash, they're fearful. Oh my goodness, right? And that's the reason why. Guys, I am overall long-term bullish on the mining sector, because what was mining commodity prices, what was a commodity boom 10 years ago, what has been not much, right? But what's going to be? What's going to be is what was, is not what is. Does that make sense? I hope so. So let me just say that again. If you look at any market, like this one here, what was high interest rates. 20, 30 years later, what is low interest rates. So what was is not what is, but what was will be again over here. I hope that makes sense, traders. I hope this helps you out. If you would like to learn an actual trading system, my trading system, that I'm going to share with you for free. I'm also going to share with you how I find these trades and awesome, powerful setups and so much more on a free training that I've actually put together. It's actually a replay of a training. So go to johnsfreetraining.com, JOHNS, johnsfreetraining.com. Go over there, register, and you get instant access to a complete training where I'm going to share with you the one thing that took me from losing money to becoming a full-time trader. You're going to learn all the details to my trading system. You're going to learn how I find these trades. I'm also going to share with you a powerful setup of what the setup I look for that can produce explosive returns. We're talking like with options or even in some of the markets these days, 400-500% returns. Sometimes, I've even had a few of them in the last year or so do like over 1,000% plus on these particular setups. Again, I'm going to share with you all of that on that free training. So just go to johnsfreetraining.com, or there should be a link in the description, and I'll see you real soon.